My dad thinks I'm a failure. He's polite about it, careful even. But tonight it slipped out. I called him with news. He laughed. Not a cruel laugh, that's the thing. A small one. The kind you give a kid holding up a drawing. The news was that I saved $1,000. First time in my life. I know what you're asking. At what age? I'm 29. And I know the math you're doing right now because he did it too, out loud, with a laugh at the end. But you're missing a number, the same one he missed. I've been working since I was 18, 11 years. No degree, no help, nobody sending me anything, just work. 11 years of work. 4 digits to show for it. And no, it's not what you think. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't stupid with it. What actually ate those 11 years is the part nobody talks about, and it's the reason I'm typing this to strangers at 1 a.m. instead of calling anybody else. Because the last person I trusted with this laughed, and I need to tell somebody what it took. Deep down, I didn't save my first $1,000 for me. I saved it for my dad's approval. I proved it tonight, and I'm disgusted with myself. Because here's what I did the moment the money crossed 1,000. I didn't celebrate. I didn't buy anything. I picked up my phone and called my father. That was the reflex. 11 years of grinding, and the finish line was a phone call. And I've been sitting here asking myself why. And every answer I try is a lie, except one. It wasn't to brag. You don't brag about $1,000 at 29. It wasn't advice. The money's saved. There's nothing to advise. I called because I wanted to hear it in his voice. That thing. You know, the thing. When somebody who matters goes quiet for a second because you actually surprise them. And I almost got it. There was a pause. Half a breath where I thought, here it comes. Then he laughed. What do you want, a medal? At your age, I had a house. And then he said, you can do better. Keep pushing. That's just how he talks. He wasn't trying to cut me. But I've been sitting with this all night. And the strange part isn't the laugh anymore. It's what I found underneath it. I'm 29, and I just noticed, for the first time, how much of what I do has been for that pause in his voice. I don't fully know what to make of that yet. Maybe it's not even a bad thing, wanting your father to be proud of you. Maybe that's just how sons are built. I just never saw it in myself this clearly before. And it's a strange thing to meet at 29, in a kitchen, over $1,000. I did the math tonight. I've been avoiding it for years, 11 years of work, and until today my net worth was 0. A teenager with a birthday card had more than me. And before your brain does what my dad's brain did, let me walk you through where 11 years actually went, because I promise you it's not where you think. I started working at 18. No degree, no plan, just bills that existed before I did. Warehouse first, then kitchens, then delivery, sometimes 2 of those in the same year. I have never, not once since 18, gone a month without working. Everything you're about to hear happens to a man who was always working. Year 1 through 3, every dollar went home. Mom was behind on everything. I was the oldest. That's just what you do. I'm not complaining about those years. I'd do them again. But 0 got saved because 0 was available. Year 4, I moved out. And here's what nobody tells you about being broke on your own. Being broke is expensive. The car I could afford broke down constantly, and every repair ate exactly whatever I had. Late fee here, overdraft there, $35 every time my account blinked. Rich people pay for things once. I paid for everything twice. Year 6, I tried to fix it, picked up a second job, and the math should have worked. More hours, more money. But tired people spend different. You work 70 hours, you stop cooking. You order. You buy the energy drinks, the fast anything, the whatever makes today survivable. I made more those years and kept none of it, and I couldn't understand why, and it made me feel like something was wrong with me. And under all of it, this whole time, every windfall had a name on it before it arrived. Tax refund, transmission. Overtime month, mom's water heater. There was never a dollar that got to just sit there and be mine. That's where 11 years went. Not on stupidity, not on laziness, on surviving in a system where 0 is the floor and the ceiling. So when I tell you that 8 months ago something snapped in me and I decided to fight my way to $1,000, I need you to understand what I was actually fighting. It wasn't a spending habit. It was gravity. 8 months ago, I started saving my first $1,000. It started with the most humiliating night of my life. My little sister is 22. She makes less than me. And that night I had to borrow $20 from her. I felt worthless. Because the person I was raised to protect, I was now taking from. I basically raised her. Our dad was our dad, so I was the one she hid behind. That's not a story I tell to sound good. It's just what I was. Her big brother meant something. Then one Tuesday we went to get food. My card declined. They ran it again. Declined again. And in that little silence, my sister goes, "I got it," real quiet, and opens her wallet. She didn't laugh. She didn't ask what happened. And that's what wrecked me. If she'd teased me, I could have handled it. Teasing is what you do to an equal. She was gentle. She covered it fast and changed the subject like she was protecting me, like I was the one who needed it now. My baby sister felt sorry for me. I paid her back that week. Didn't matter. She'd already seen it. She looked at me the exact way I used to look at our dad. That look with love in it, but the expectations already lowered. And something in me went cold that night. Not sad, cold. I was so tired of being the guy money happens to, the guy who reacts, who scrambles, who borrows $20 from a kid. I wanted to hit back at it for once. And $1,000 became the target. Because 1,000 isn't about 1,000. It's the first brick. It's proof you can hold a line. It's the difference between a guy who's broke and a guy who's building. That night I picked the fight. Money had been beating me for 11 years, and I finally decided to beat it back, one brick at a time, starting with 1,000. The scariest part of deciding to change wasn't the money. It was that I'd promised myself 100 times before, and I always caved. I had no reason to believe me this time. That's the part nobody talks about. Everyone thinks the hard part is knowing what to do. It's not. I knew what to do at 20. Save money, spend less, obvious. The hard part is that you've watched yourself fail at it so many times that your own promises sound like a joke coming out of your mouth. I'd had the "this is it, everything changes now" moment before. New Year's, after every overdraft. Lying awake after payday disappeared in 4 days. I'd feel that fire, swear on my life, and be back to 0 by the next month. So when I made this decision after my sister, a quiet voice in me just went, "Sure, we'll see. You've said this before, champ." So I did something different this time, and it's going to sound stupidly small. I didn't try to save $1,000. I couldn't even look at that number. It was a mountain, and mountains are how I always talk myself out of starting. Instead, I told myself one thing: get to 50. Just $50, and don't touch it. That's it. That was the whole plan. And my first week, I put away $30. And I want to be honest about the moment, because part of me looked at that 30 and sneered. $30. You're 29. This is embarrassing. People your age have houses, remember? $30 isn't a comeback, it's a joke. But I didn't touch it. Second week, another 20. Now it's 50. Then I told myself, okay, get to 100. And somewhere in there, for the first time in my adult life, a number in my account went up 2 weeks in a row and stayed up. You have no idea what that does to a man who's only ever watched the number fall. It wasn't about the $50. It was the first evidence, real evidence I could see, that maybe I wasn't the guy who always caves. Maybe I was somebody who could hold the line after all. That's what $50 bought me. Not $50. A tiny crack of proof. For 8 months, I lied to everyone I know. Not about being broke, I'd done that for years. This time I lied about why. Because here's the thing nobody tells you, and it's almost funny. Saving money looks exactly like being broke. From the outside, they're identical. Same declined invites, same "nah, I'm good." Same guy who's not coming out tonight. For 11 years, I did all that because I had no money. Now I was doing it on purpose, and I couldn't tell a soul the difference. The boys want to go out. Old me says yes, puts it on a card I shouldn't, deals with it later, because being liked felt more urgent than being okay. New me says, "Can't tonight, I'm beat." And they hear the same tired excuse they've always heard. They don't know that "I'm beat" now means that's $40, and $40 is 4 days closer. Somebody's grabbing food. You coming? Already ate. I hadn't already ate. I ate at home because home was free. I said already ate so many times those months, it stopped feeling like a lie. And the loneliest one, the round. You know the round. Everybody's turn to buy the drinks, and it lands on you. For years, I'd cover it even when it hurt, because the alternative was everyone knowing. Now I just quietly stopped putting myself in rooms where the round happens. I disappeared a little. Let people think I was boring now, distant, whatever they thought. That's the part that actually costs you, not the money. The money's the easy part. It's watching people slowly file you under flaky or cheap or no fun anymore, and choosing to let them, because you can't explain that every no is a brick, and the wall you're building is the first thing in your life that's actually yours. I couldn't tell them, I'm not broke, I'm building, because it sounds insane when the number is $600. Who announces they're building an empire out of $600? So I said nothing, and I let them think less of me, and every quiet, invisible, unglamorous no went straight into the number. Nobody claps for this part. There's no montage. It's just months of small, lonely choices nobody sees. That's what saving actually is. It's the least impressive thing in the world, right up until the day it isn't. Month 5, I had almost $600 saved. Then my car needed a $400 repair, and I understood why people like me never get ahead. The universe waits until you have something, then comes to collect. And I want you to feel the timing of this, because the timing is the cruelty. Not month 1, when I had nothing to lose. Month 5, after I'd finally started to believe. After 20 weeks of already ate and skipped rounds and letting my friends think I'd gotten boring. Right when the number had become the most precious thing I owned. That's when the check engine light came on. I took it in. Guy tells me $400. And I stood in that shop, and I felt the old gravity reach up and grab my ankle. Because here's what $400 meant. It meant almost everything. 5 months of the hardest, quietest discipline of my life, and one repair could erase most of it in an afternoon. And the worst part, the part that makes this a real trap and not a test, is that it wasn't temptation. Nobody could have judged me for using that money. That's literally what emergency money is for. I could have drained the account, fixed the car, and told myself I did the responsible thing, and I would have been right. That's how these things kill you. Not with something you're ashamed of, with something reasonable. I sat in my car in that shop parking lot for a long time, and I felt the whole old story rising up. See? This is why you don't bother. This is why guys like us stay where we are. You save, life takes it, you're back to zero. Might as well enjoy the money while you have it. 11 years of evidence for that story, and it was all standing right there, asking me to prove it true one more time. And I don't fully know where what I did next came from. I didn't touch the savings. I put the $400 repair on a card, which isn't the clean answer, I know. But hear me. For 11 years, my instinct was always to protect today and sacrifice tomorrow. Drain the future to fix the now. And for the first time in my life, I did the opposite. I protected the number. I took the bus for 3 weeks while I paid that card down. And every morning at that bus stop in the cold, I felt something I'd never felt about myself. I felt like I didn't fold. The number lived. $600 sat there untouched through the exact kind of event that had wiped me out my entire adult life. And that changed something bigger than money. It meant the pattern wasn't a law. It meant guys like us was a story, not a sentence. The car got fixed, the card got paid, and the wall kept standing. I used to open my banking app and flinch. One day, around month 6, I opened it and didn't. I can't tell you the exact day it happened, and that's the scariest part, because it means I was changing without permission. Let me back up, because if you've never been broke, this won't land, and if you have, you already know exactly what I mean. For 11 years, opening my banking app was an act of courage. Every single time, my stomach dropped before the number loaded, because the number was always bad news, always lower than I hoped, always a countdown to a disaster with a date on it. I'd checked that app in fear so many times that fear was just what checking felt like. The app wasn't a tool. It was a threat I carried in my pocket. This was the context of my entire adult life. Being broke wasn't a situation I was in. It was who I was. It was in how I ordered food, how I stood at registers, how I flinched at unknown numbers calling. Broke was my personality, my reflexes, my identity. And here's the part I never expected, the part that actually scared me. Somewhere around month 6, with a few $100s sitting in savings, I opened the app one morning out of habit, braced for the drop, the flinch, the bad news, and it just didn't come. I looked at the number and it was fine, and I felt fine, and I closed the app and kept getting ready for work. I got halfway to the door before it hit me what had just happened. I'd checked my money without fear, for the first time in my adult life. And I want to be honest about something most people won't admit. It didn't feel purely good. It felt strange, almost like a small loss. Because if I'm not the broke guy, if I'm not the one always scrambling, always behind, always the story of bad luck, then who am I? That identity was miserable, but it was mine. I knew how to wear it. I'd worn it since I was 18. Turns out the hardest part of getting out isn't the money. It's letting go of the version of you that never had any. Part of you gets comfortable being the victim of your own life because at least it's familiar. At least nobody expects much from a guy who's always broke. The number going up was easy compared to that. But that morning, standing at my door, late for work, I felt the old skin crack a little. I wasn't flinching anymore, and a quiet thought came that I almost didn't let myself have. Maybe I'm not broke. Maybe I'm just a guy who used to be. And that sentence terrified me and saved me at the same time. The cruelest thing about my dad's laugh is that the math backs him up. So I did something I've never done. I stopped defending myself and asked the honest question, why did he have a house at 29 and I don't? And I expected it to hurt. I thought if I actually looked straight on, no excuses, I'd find out he was right, that I'm just less than him, softer, worse with money, that the laugh was earned. So let me tell you what my dad actually had at 29. He had a job you could raise a family on, that he got with a high school diploma and a handshake. One income. It bought a house, a car, and a wife who didn't have to work, and 3 kids and summer trips. One income. He bought his first house for a number that today wouldn't cover 4 years of my rent. Rent that I pay to own nothing. He put 5% down on a Tuesday because a coworker told him to, and the house tripled while he slept in it. I'm not saying my father didn't work hard. He did. He worked brutally hard. But he ran his race on a track, and I've been running mine through mud, and he genuinely, honestly cannot see the mud because it wasn't there when he ran. To him, the finish line was normal. Work hard, get the house. Simple. He thinks he's looking at a son who did the same race and came in embarrassingly behind. He doesn't know they moved the finish line. He doesn't know they took away the track. That the job that bought his house now barely covers the rent near it. That just work hard was real advice in his world and is almost a cruel joke in mine. And here's what I felt when I finally saw all that clearly. It wasn't anger at him. It was something quieter and sadder. We're standing on 2 sides of a canyon that opened up between his generation and mine, yelling love and disappointment across it, and neither of us can hear the other right. He thinks I'm failing. I think he can't see. We're both a little right, And it's nobody in this family's fault, and that's almost worse than having someone to blame. So no, the laugh wasn't earned, but it also wasn't cruelty. It was a man from a country that doesn't exist anymore, judging me by its map. And that $1,004, the thing he laughed at? On his old track, it's nothing, he's right. But on the track I'm actually running, clawing 4 digits out of that mud, with no handshake job and no cheap house and no coworker tip that makes you rich by accident. That $1,000 might be the harder thing either of us ever did. He just can't see the mud. It's almost 3 a.m. now. My dad's asleep. The $1,004 I saved is still there. First time in my life I've had it. And for the first time all night, I'm okay that he laughed. Because I finally figured out what I was really doing when I called him. I wasn't sharing good news. I was a grown man still holding up a drawing, waiting for a dad to put it on the fridge. 11 years of work, and I handed the whole meaning of it to one man's reaction. That was never his job to give. And it took him laughing for me to see I'd been asking the wrong person to make it real. It was already real. The number doesn't need his face to exist. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you that my life is fixed. It's $1,000. I know exactly how far $1,000 gets you, which is not far. I'm still renting, still driving the car I took the bus to save. By most measures, I'm still a broke guy, and tomorrow I'm back at work like every day before it. But something is different, and it isn't in the account. For 11 years, I believed I was the guy who caves, the guy money happens to, the guy who's always behind and always will be. And I have proof now, small, quiet proof I built myself, brick by brick, that the story wasn't true. I held the line. I didn't fold. I found out I'm someone who can want a thing and not lose it. That's what's actually in that account, not $1,000. The first evidence I've ever had that I can trust myself. So that's it. That's the whole thing I couldn't tell anyone tonight. I saved $1,000. My dad laughed. And I'm sitting alone in a kitchen at 3 a.m. feeling something I've never felt in 29 years. Quietly, stubbornly proud of myself. That's all it is. $1,000 nobody clapped for. But I built it with my own hands, out of nothing, in a world that moved the finish line, and I know exactly what it cost. And that's the one kind of rich they can never laugh at.